With fossil fuel consumption on the rise and environmental issues at an all-time high, it should be in our best interest to look for a presidential candidate that makes it one of, if not their, top priority.
Findings itself, what were the takeaways? What were the main pieces of information that made the most impact?
Well, I think it shows a pretty alarming, climate situation here in the U.S. We've had the information here is nothing new necessarily in terms of what we've known for years. It builds upon that. It takes it a little bit farther by showing us and emphasizing in this report compared to previous iterations that climate change is here right now. We're seeing its effects right now. This is not something that's just going to be happening in the future. It's already happening here. One example is in Miami, where there's nuisance flooding on sunny days.
In the first quarter of 2019, the EIA estimated that U.S. energy-related emissions totaled 1,367 million metric tons, which is nearly equal to those in the first quarter of 2018. A big percentage of everyday people don't know what activities influence carbon dioxide emissions, but a mediocre percentage know all about it and teach it. We interviewed one teacher, Mrs. Buechler, to get information about how others can learn and teach others about this unexplored topic.
I feel like the fossil fuel consumption is out of control. It's something that is sort of inevitable because human population is out of control. We have lots of people, they have to get places, and obviously they're going to drive cars and they're going to use lots of fossil fuels for all of their needs. It's just a resource that we need. But I feel like there are alternatives and we can do better. So myself, as much as I can, if I don't have to drive, I won't. So if I can walk, if I can bike instead of drive, I won't. But a lot of times I do have to drive. So if there's anything I can do to reduce my energy consumption and fossil fuel consumption, I will do that. The other thing that I try not to do is drive around, make lots of stops, try to make one stop, just simple things like that.
We interviewed Ms. Mackenzie Weiser, the CEO of Sacramento Splash, a nonprofit organization as well as a local environmental activist, to get insight on how she spreads awareness of fossil fuel consumption for children through fun science activities.
We are a watershed nonprofit, so we talk to students about the importance of clean water, and how we talk to them about fossil fuels is that there's often illegal dumping of oils down storm drains. There's a misconception that storm drains have filters on them, and actually that water is not treated. It runs directly to our rivers, creeks and streams, which eventually leads out to the ocean. So we let students know the importance of not illegally dumping and letting their families know not to dump oil down the drains. So for the past 7 years, I've been working as an appointee, working with Governor Jerry Brown on climate policy for state policies driven solely on cutting the use of fossil fuels. So for myself personally, it translates into me encouraging my family to walk to school. We ride bikes. We try to reduce the amount of vehicles that we travel in a car, utilizing gas. I'm also looking for candidates who have a plan to look at campaign finance reform as well, because they're kind of joined hand in hand.
While some may choose to drive less or even stick to walking and biking, many still wish to drive around. Many of these drivers are investing in the more recent and beneficial technology, electric cars. We talked to one of these many owners, Mr. Eric Leitster, to find out what exactly is so special about them.
I was very interested in electric vehicles and the overall positive impact they'll have on the environment, eventually replacing combustion engines. So my thoughts about gas emissions and the impact on our environment is that there are too many cars out there on the road around the world that are spewing waste into the air. These emissions are causing, I feel, environmental impacts in our overall temperature and weather changes. We really need to do something different, and I think electric vehicles are the way of the future.
So, you may ask, what do we want to see in a presidential candidate this 2020 election? We want a candidate that addresses and takes action against this fossil fuel crisis before time runs out and it's too late.